For Mahala Monday, and thank you very much for joining us. And before we get anything out of the way, let me just apologize. We are a little bit tardy, but it's all my fault, but I'll explain later. But thank you very nevertheless for joining us. This is absolutely wonderful to have you along with us. Of course, you can be with us on Clubhouse right now. We're live on YouTube and on Facebook, and it's an interactive show where we look forward to your comments. So please send them along. But firstly, there's a lot of people here today. It is brilliant. It's brilliant. As always, you know the person to my right, but let's start off firstly, for a specific reason, with a man here on my left, which is Alfonso. Greetings.
Good morning everyone. Welcome to this special edition of Mahala Monday. We dedicate it especially to our women.
Yeah.
And we're going to cross-question Rhoda.
And he said it there. He said it there because normally you are the other side of all of this. You're the one who gets to pose all the questions.
Right.
So firstly, thank you for doing this. Let me just say that. And yes, so Rhoda, we've thrown Rhoda in the hot seat today. It is going to be a hot seat.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot seat, definitely.
They threw me under the bus.
Yeah.
And the reason we're doing this is because today's topic is centering around women in business. So everything in relation to that is really what we want to talk about. And also we know this is a hot topic. We know this is a hot topic, but we want your input in this. So please, by all means, your comments, your questions, please put this in. But just to put this into perspective, so as you always tell people, this is all about inspiring. It is about getting information to our community out there. And of course, looking at all the available options that we have. So it is really about empowering. And when we talk women in business, immediately we're looking at inspirational women. So for us, it was an easy decision. Let's speak to Rhoda. So let's start off there. You want to fire in the first question here because, yeah. I'm too scared she reverses the roles at some point. But we're talking women in business. You're a woman entrepreneur, aren't you?
That is right. Firstly, good morning, everybody. And everybody knows, I mean, Dougal, you know, I'm always, heads up for ladies, especially in business, and our young entrepreneurs and our students that's out there wanting to start something. So, and that's why Mahala was created, because of the fact that I wanted to, and we at Nikkay wanted to put out there and give information to our students, to everybody out there. And me personally, always had the hat on for the ladies, woman empowerment. And, you know, the challenges that's out there as a businesswoman. And I was thrown under the bus, everybody, because by these two gentlemen here. But, but the fact still remains that I was passionate about the fact that we were going to discuss this, because it's something that people always don't, that's kind of hush-hush, they don't talk about it. And the difficulty of a woman having to actually put herself out there and actually be a businesswoman, you know, it's quite challenging.
So let's get in there, because you say it is challenging. We can assume there are challenges, and we are very well aware of these challenges. But let's, if I may, let's personalize it to Rhoda. What has been some of the challenges? I mean, we've heard terms like glass ceiling and all of this.
That is,
you know, and I mean, this is a real thing.
It is, Dougal. So, without giving my age away, I'm still very young. In my own way, I feel I'm still very young. So I've come through the struggle times where, when I was at school, we were the kids that was hiding under the desk, hiding away from the police as they were coming onto our schools, wanting to arrest us. And the struggle for us was real. We experienced it, we felt it, we were there basically. So, you know, and having to then, from there, go into the workplace. The challenges there itself was quite, you know, the fact that we were struggling with having to put ourselves out there and be the new generation of new and young students and people that wanting to make a difference. Me personally then faced the challenge of actually being a woman. And that was shocking to me, because being at school and then going into the workplace, I didn't expect that. You know what I'm saying? So here I was, happy that the struggle had been successful, that we all were liberated, we all basically could voice our opinions. But as a woman in the workplace, it wasn't like that, you know? And I mean, one of the questions that was posed in the meeting while I was sitting there, and you can think for yourself, I'm 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, and while we're sitting and we're having a discussion, the topic comes up, what if she falls pregnant? I was like, what? is this what I'm having to face? You know, so those challenges, it was real.
Now, when you hear a question like that, when assume it's an interview, and the question is, what if you are expecting a baby? If that question had to come along in 1985, 1972, I suppose that was, you know, it pains me to say, but I suppose maybe that was the order of the day. But if you hear something like that right now, then it's a complete...
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, really? Is that a real thing? Yeah. So now you went into work, you were working there, and let me just put this out there. There are more females than males in our society, right? So but when you look around at businesses, there seem to be more male employees or male business owners, because it is that systemic block. When you started your business, how difficult was it? Were people laughing at you in your face?
You know, Dougal, I actually still sit with those difficulties today.
In 2021?
In 2021. I walk in with my camera and, you know, you looked at almost like, oh, can you do this job? You know, because firstly, are you a professional? Oh, it's a woman. So, you know, you sit with these challenges, and I've got the saying at the end of the day, I have to be on top of my game. I have to be 100%. Basically, you're not going to judge me on who I am. I'm going to show you what I can do. So that has been my life challenge all this time. And that's where the field that I'd come from, starting work at a very young age, it was more man-dominated, supposed to have been because when I had gone for the interview, there was 2 ladies, and I mean, we were but only 2 ladies with all these 10 men. And from those 2 ladies, this was dynamics, we're talking about 90s now, in the 90s. She turned around and she said, oh, I'm not going to go to the interview because it's a man's world. And I was like, man's world, you know? And when obviously going into the workplace, I had found that the challenge was, even though it wasn't picking up heavy weights or doing anything, it was really just using your brain power. And me being a creative person, the challenge was, but I can do this. Why are you telling me because I'm a woman I can't do this?
Yeah.
So this has been a challenge for me right through from that point, that I always had to be 10 steps ahead of what was expected of me because of the fact that I was being judged in a man's supposed to be world as a woman.
Yeah.
You know? So challenging. And as I said, till today, I'll still walk into an event and immediately they look at you, you know, can you do this? Are you a professional? You know?
Yeah.
So the challenges is real out there.
Fonzo, because I know you were nodding here when she was saying that. So I know you've got more than a 2 cent here.
I think it's time we bring our guest on board, Prof. Linda de Vries. I think, yeah, awesome woman, and
yeah,
we're definitely looking at bringing Prof on board.
And you know what, so you're not alone in this, because yes, Alfonso is absolutely right. So we've got a special guest as well, because we want to get a different perspective.
That's
and
right.
Professor Linda de Vries, she's a reputable business leader, academia, of course, business consultant, and we got her on especially for this.
Oh, yeah.
So Professor de Vries, thank you so much for joining us on Mahala Monday. Thank you very much for making time. Good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, Rhoda, and the 2 men that surround it. I hope they're just there to fill the seats, not because, no. As women in business, we always run the race together.
Oh, yeah.
But so I want to just acknowledge, I know the 2 of them as men has got a heart that women succeed.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, in this race of women in business, we always need a few champions. We need people that we need to believe in ourselves as women, that we can do it. I think, as you were sharing in your introduction, Rhoda, that's very real. I'm sure if we ask women across the board, we will find that they were little in numbers, that when you think about that you can move up within the organization, they will ask you, are you not satisfied with your career? You know, as if the fact that you have a job is good enough.
Oh, yeah.
Why should you aspire for anything better? But you know, all of us are made with unique potential, and all of us have unique abilities. In fact, women have the ability to manage and lead just as men. And so when we think women shouldn't be in managerial or in leadership positions or start their own businesses, we actually do society harm. So it's really my privilege and pleasure to join you on the show.
Yeah.
About something that I think I'm both lived, both wanted to advocate for. I think I spent my life doing this to say that, you know, as a woman, because I'm a woman, we can do it. We can do it better. We can do it equal. We can lead, and we can take big corporations and make them champions in society. And, you know, often we have to believe in ourselves first before anybody else will believe in you. So, Rhoda, when you went in there and you said to your own gut, I can do it. That's what we need as women, to say, I'm not defined by what society is saying. You know, often we think it's good if there's legislation because that gives us some strength on which we can fight. But we never want to get into the battles with a fight. We want to get into there and say, first and foremost, I'm present.
Yeah.
And I don't say that the terrain of women or the terrain of business is only for men. If we say that, then we've given up the fight. If we say the terrain of business needs to have all of women and men and young people all bringing all of their ideas and potential into this arena so that we can be successful. And I think as a country as South Africa, we cannot afford to have half of the population, which is the women, not making their contribution in their own unique way. So I hope that's okay. So thanks for having me on the show.
No. It is absolutely our pleasure, and thank you once again, Professor de Vries, for joining us. And there's a couple of things we want to touch on, but also I just want to point out, of course, we're live on YouTube and on Facebook, and and you can also join us on Clubhouse this morning. So we're really looking forward to your questions and comments. It is a bit of a hot topic, but Prof, just to move back to what Rhoda was saying earlier. Rhoda said she was in you said a meeting, right?
Yes, right.
She was in a meeting, and then the question came up, or the comment was made. What if the lady falls pregnant, or if she was pregnant regardless? I mean, when we hear that now, in this day and age, surely, is that something in your experience, or that you might receive via the rumor mill? Are we still doing that? Because me and him, and I'm speaking on his behalf as well, we look at ourselves as fairly progressive. I'm like, why are people still doing that? Like, did I miss something?
Yeah, Dougal and myself often have this conversation that you being progressive men, we also have to hold the baton, like you rightfully said, Prof. And progressive men need to stop keeping quiet when other men who are very prejudiced say the things, or conservative, or say the things that they shouldn't be saying, or do the things that they shouldn't be doing.
You know, even though it's 2021, sometimes they won't say it in an official interview meeting because that would be deemed as discriminatory. But let me tell you, those questions are being asked. And the questions are being asked because, you know, when you're older like me, you have seen life, you started businesses, you've run businesses, and you know that there are many challenges. The labor framework of South Africa is a very challenging framework. For any female entrepreneur starting her own business, she would know that to dabble into some of the labor framework that we have in this country makes it often feel impossible to employ some people, even women. Purely because of the fact that our labor laws have been drafted in a place and a time when it needed to protect us as South Africans who didn't have the right to vote. Remember, we used our labor movement for part of our revolution of where we are. But here we are, 2021, and we as women want to start our own businesses. Or we in business. Or you go for an interview. So that question would not be allowed because that's not acceptable within the legal framework. But it does get asked in different ways. So, you know, it's maybe before the time the secretary says, so how many children do you have? And what's your plans? You know, and innocently we share things about ourselves. And you don't know that is actually part of the back of whoever make the decisions of their mind. And they think, oh, we really can't afford having somebody on 6 months maternity leave away when you have a sole proprietorship. Rhoda, isn't that so?
That is so true.
Even though I'm a woman, it's challenging.
It's challenging.
So let's face the facts. But you know, I remember when when they asked me in my organization, that time at the university, why would I want to aspire to a higher position in the university? Because am I not satisfied to just have an amazing role as being a lecturer at the university? And I remember I said to them, I would have children, but I can guarantee them that in my household, we have dual roles. So my husband will take some roles and I will take some roles. And some of my colleagues, I think, were some of the most amazing men, because they went to go pick up their children at school often, and they would schedule their times around school times. And I look back and I thought, actually, I don't think I was absent. I was less absent than they, because they were the ones that would rush to hospital if their children get sick. So in the end, if they made a decision against me for them, statistics would have told that actually absenteeism was not more for women than for men, even though we have the privilege to have children. That's a privilege in our society. And so if we get negatively marked because of that, it's a short-sighted society. In the end, they will pay us, like in the European countries, to beg us to have children, because you know, in some of the European countries, they would pay you so that you have a children, give you a year-long leave, just so, and keep your position. This is not in South Africa, but in some of the European countries, because it's such a scarce skill, and children are an asset to a society. And so because of our unique circumstances, we use it as a penalty against women. So what do I say to you? The legal framework has changed. Those questions will not be allowed, but those questions are evident. When you consider, shall I make Rhoda my partner, partner in business? Should I make the chief executive? Shall I make whenever we ask those, we put and say, what if? And those what ifs, we forget that men get sick.
Oh, yeah.
You know, life happens, but we put this double burden on women to say to them, therefore you're not suitable to do it. They forget that we can make our own life choices around. We don't need an employer or somebody else to decide this is the way we're going to run our lives. And I think that's this paternalistic society that keep on making prejudgments for women. Rather than allowing women to make the decisions themselves.
That is well said, Prof. And that's exactly, why we had the show today as well, because that's exactly how I've been feeling as well. And the three of us was always having conversations, and that's why this came about today as well. And just chatting regarding that, Prof, if I look, and we do graduation photography, and we're doing it for 19 years, and looking at all our institutions, and this is me looking at not necessarily writing down stats, but actually seeing the reality of taking these photos. When I see these days that how things has changed through these 19 years, that today when there's graduations, the amount of women that's walking on our stage, that's walking across, that's being capped, that's being hooded in a professional field, is by far so much more women than men. But yet I also take corporate photos, and I go into the corporate world taking photos there as well. And I'm looking and I'm saying, where's the woman that has graduated? Why is there still so many men within these positions that when you're looking at my stats on seeing with my eye the amount of ladies that's graduating, that they're not, that balance for me hasn't filtered into the workplace as such. I don't know if you also experience that, Professor.
So, Professor, sorry if I may. So what you're saying, Rhoda, is if you look at just the amount of graduates, the females far exceed the males.
Most
but that doesn't transpire into the workforce. We don't see that in the market. And I think I can pick up on that as well. It's only at certain places that you go. that might be a hairdresser. Not that I go to a hairdresser, but I drop the female parts of the house off at the hairdresser. But you know, I get that point. Prof, why is it still like that? I mean, if we're graduating more women, why are we still lacking in terms of employment numbers?
You know, there's two, I think, major reasons. One is that you're correct. You know, when I think the statistics about more than 60% of our women graduates are women. And so you would expect that society, business at large will reflect that in their demographics. What often happens is they play the demographic game. So you would have large number of women, but at lower levels of entry level. So, you know, it's this whole view. So on the one hand, we make the assumption that if a woman graduated, but she needs time, often we use the label, she's too young. Yeah. So that she can't progress to a higher level. I haven't heard that about men. And if we look at corporate South Africa, we have seen young men in leadership and all of those things. But whenever a woman puts herself forward and says, I think I aspire to become the chief executive. So there is an upward mobility curve that I need to follow in order to do that. It's how do you get part of that in-group? Now, who's the in-group? Who's the decision makers? If the large group of decision makers are largely men, they think they do us a favor when they appoint one woman into their circle. And then already you are. So, you know, you should be. And it also makes you feel that they've opened the door for you, and you should be very pleased about the fact that on a board there's one woman versus 5 men, or on the chief executive or the executive committee of an organization there are 2 women and 7 men, you know, those kind of things. So what happens when we make decision making? We often appoint who looks like us. So if 7 of us are guys, that would be our bias. So women are often seen as too young to be promoted upwards, because they should just, and I'm using words that was used for me. So it's not that I am using theory, and it's also the words that has been said about, I've supervised a few master's students on this area, and it's a very real issue. Don't you think you should take a little bit more time, get more experience, you know, all of those things. And to make you talk about professional women, when they make you partner, you know, you almost have to stop your life to be partner. They also, I'm amazed when you know, often you don't know the way. If I see in government, Wednesdays were allowed in government organizations for men to play golf. So they were allowed to take off. Many of the golf courses you go have this kind of thing, because that used to be, it was seen as the place where men network so that they could discuss matters outside of boardrooms or offices and make the network. So here we come, and those rules don't apply for us, but we're not part of that conversation. So now, yes, we're going to learn to play golf. But I don't want to play golf if I'm not interested in golf. The point I'm making is often we're not part of the informal group that actually make many of the decisions that just get formalized and put on the table in that meeting, where they have to decide who's going to be the next potential to be seen to move upward. So that's the one thing. The second thing is that I think many women, because of the glass ceiling and the barriers to entry, would often make horizontal moves. You know, that it's not vertical, it's not upwards in an organization, because they think maybe another organization or another department would be more facilitating their own growth. So often we find where men's movement is often vertical, you know, so they move the one ladder to the other one, and but women often is horizontal moves, because that's the way they would see that they can grow and maybe get more experience, so that they can prove they can do it, you know, because as you say, we always have to prove more than 100% we can do it. And then the third thing, what happened, we exit out of big corporations. Because of the glass ceiling impact, you often get out and you say, you know, I can see it. I see that I train the next leadership. I train the next CEO. I train the person that's going to be in charge of me, but all the skills is vested in me.
Yeah.
And so because of that, you know, women get so despondent and they exit out of these big corporations and they become consultants or start their own businesses.
Yeah.
And starting your own business is a big challenge. Unless you have had, you know what happens? Often I find organizations set up big, they put up businesses and they say to somebody, Nikki or Alfonso, go and set up a business. We'll give you this contract.
Yeah.
Because if you have one secured contract, it helps you when you start your business because at least there's some income flow in the Rhoda, you know, when you start a business, it's difficult. How do you manage your cash flow? How do you just stay afloat? And then the red tape in South Africa on how to start a business is, you know, it's easier for us to go to Mauritius to go and start our business. But to start your business in South Africa is difficult. You want to be compliant. You don't want to be illegal. You need to be registered. You know, the tenderpreneurs is a nightmare. I can tell you of young people and women and young students and young men, qualified, professional, who's gone through the whole rope of being registered for all these tenders. And we know what happened the past 10 years. The tenders went skew. It only went to some. But the point is just that red tape. You almost in your business have to have somebody that just look after tenders. It's not your core skill. But the requirements to do business is, if you want to get it, do that. And, you know, I've seen many, many young people and many women say, then I'm not going to do that. I don't have time. I don't have another body so that I can just spend time on meeting the government's tenders. So we'll have to do it in our. So my plea today is private enterprise. We have to support one another. We have to support women in business. Give them that contract. They will, you know, they say under promise, over deliver. I can guarantee you, you're going to find many of the women over deliver because they want to maintain your relationships. They're into business relationships and they want the relationships to last over a very long time. We've just celebrated, and I'm involved in a network of businesses. And the reason why I'm involved is it's a network of businesses that grow and mentor other women. But this organization just turned 50 years old. And when I read the autobiography of the founder, she was a woman, Anikitaron. When I read it, it's amazing. Even 50 years ago, women were not supposed to go into business. And so the model was not the model that the mainstream men thought you should follow, but they would grab your ideas. They will grab your business ideas, and you have to demonstrate tenacity, believing in yourself, believing in what you're doing in order to be successful. And then when you've done it, I don't know about you, Rhoda, often people want to come alongside you because you have met it. Somebody asked me, I was just going down memory lane, and as a student, we talked about some companies like to come and do a harvest strategy. And others would do an investing strategy. Often we find people want to come on a harvest when you're already successful. They're not willing to invest while you're going and starting up. So we do need a different mindset. We do need to support women in big organizations and say they can do it. And it's important to be part of a network where we can advocate around their potential. But it's also whether women choose to exit out of these big organizations, to how do we support them and say, let's give them an opportunity. Because often that's what the women need, just an opportunity to demonstrate they can do it. Maybe I should just stop now.
You can go for it.
That's for sure. I mean, South Africa, we've embraced so many different boxes, and forget about the different boxes you put yourself in. Work, push yourself. You know, tenacity, like you say, Prof. At the end of the day, that's what we need. We need a small business is going to take us forward, this post-COVID. And we need a lot more South Africans pushing. And I don't care what the limitations, who thinks what, LGBTQ, women, small business, whatever box you find yourself being put in, push forward and drive this country forward. And I think all three of us are real patriots, and we want to see business grow. That's why we started this show, to help SMMEs, bring the information out to people, bring it to our young people, and show our young people where they need to go.
Yeah, and there's a lot, and Professor De Vries, just listening to what you said there is a lot with us, because, and allow me, Rhoda and Prof. Linda, just to be a little bit devil's advocate. I mean, we do know that most new businesses, entrepreneurs, they happen to be women, they happen to be female, business start, they happen to be, this is the case. So, I don't know, for me it's almost systemic, but I want to get to that systemic point. Yeah. For me it's almost like we're doing it on purpose, man. You know what I mean? Why women businesses are not succeeding at the rate. I feel like ashamed at times. I feel like that is the case. Also, I've heard the argument, and this is why I want to play devil's advocate, so we know that in terms of numbers. Also, people say that people do that on purpose to window dress, considering on what you touched on a short moment ago when it comes to tenders and doing business with government. Is that the case? But isn't it a case of what else was meant to do? What else are you meant to do? I need to force the issue. Aren't you like forcing the hand, and then because you've created the situation where people think out of the box, now that becomes a negative why people and whoever else don't want to do business with women? Isn't that I don't know, what do you think? Does it make sense? Firstly, what I'm saying.
I'm trying to put all of that together on exactly what you were saying now. And definitely regarding the window dressing, a lot of professionals, especially women, are being put in positions. And I know of somebody that actually had worked with us as well that was taken out to be put into a position, but was never given the opportunity to grow. So, and this is the reality of this window dressing that is happening within, putting people sometimes even not even qualified, you know, and just putting a woman there's like, okay, I've got my my BE status, I put the woman there in position now. And and I'm actually going to be honest as well, there is a lot of businesses that actually gives a woman an extra percentage just to push it up as a woman-owned business. But in actual fact, there's men behind all of this that's actually just using their status in our society today, in South Africa today, you know. And the sad reality of that is the fact that unfortunately that woman that's even been put there, and like Prof has also alluded to it, was the fact that you're just window dressing, you know what I'm saying?
And the reason why I'm saying that, if you do that on purpose and you do the window dress, and there's 100 people involved in this organization, employees, all of them, it is pointless if only 5 of them happen to be female.
That's
because
so true.
then it's come now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then it's point. You got to practice what you preach.
That's
Prof,
so true.
When you consult with businesses, does that come up? I know it's a bit of a naughty question, a naughty suggestion. Please forgive me, but does it come up? Or is that the perception in some way?
No, it comes up. The reality is people play by the rule and by the book. So the rule says you get points if you have females in leadership, female businesses. So they want to play by the rules. But you know, when you play by the rules doesn't mean you believe in the rules and you implement it. I think Rhoda referred to the fact that they even will give you a percentage, but the intention is never for you to be run a proper business or to become a leader. It's just hold your mouth. I laugh when I see the parading when they come in and they have a woman there. She never says anything other than maybe an opening statement, because, and then I know another window dress. But let me say to you, as early as 1991, I wrote about when we start looking at the diversified workforce, that means unlock the potential of the women employees. They can't graduate if they're not smart, if they don't have tenacity, if they don't have ability, if they don't have competence, if they don't demonstrate character. Any organization that is short-sighted and do not employ women for what they bring to the table and their value, that will be an organization that won't last. I test, you know, Tom Peters wrote a book about In Search of Excellence. Very few of those companies still survive today. That's why I listed this company that's 50 years old, still surviving. 98% of all of it's women that make the organization successful. When organizations start realizing that women actually bring to the table these abilities, they will meet the timelines, they will, how can you graduate? You know, graduation talks about the ability to meet timelines, to demonstrate competence. There's a whole number of things that graduations reflect. So if you do not give the women that opportunity, then what happens? You as an organization will lack some vision. You will miss some of the opportunities. And it's an exciting time. I'm very excited. You know, we talk about the gig economy. We talk about being online, less face-to-face. COVID has changed the way we do business and a whole number of things. Great opportunities. You know what? And I've seen many small businesses and women surviving and delivering excellence of service because they know how to think differently. It's almost like a mom that have 5 children and they have to survive. I just read a true story about a mom that said to the child, no, you don't stay at home. I work, but you must go study because we can't have the next generation be poor, destitute, and other things. So you must go work. And so the young lady became very successful, and she always honors a mom because of that. So the issue is there's the ability, you know, that nurturing and making ends meet. And you can, I'm sure Rhoda will tell you that many female entrepreneurs, and I have, whether it's women in wine, women in the energy sector, women in a whole number of things, often the way they have made ends meet and deliver is amazing. And I think it's a skill that many of we don't give up. We don't throw in the towel. No. We are tough. So part of those things is almost the inbuilt ability. And then we care about people. You see, sometimes people think caring about people is our disadvantage because you wouldn't be able to make tough decisions. Being a role model and being able to set the tone means that you have to, and you would find women would do that. We don't mind calling people in and saying you're out of line or, you know, your productivity is not in line. Because remember how many households have women that have to discipline children, say, it's time to go and study. It's time to do this, set the rules. I mean, so when you look at the successes, don't forget women can make tough decisions. And this notion, and often that's what men think, women can't make the tough decisions. They can. In fact, we celebrate too few of the women that has made it in these tough industries, and they've demonstrated this ability. They take people alongside them. Remember, that's a big skill of women. They are very clear role models, and they demonstrate excellence. And I think we have to, to celebrate many more of these women that do this brave things, because you need to be brave. It's risky. It's a pond in there that want to swallow you because you're not supposed to be successful. It's okay to give you a percentage. It's okay to give you a seat on the board as long as you keep quiet and allow us to do business the way we used to do it. But the moment you want to bring your opinion and want to bring some changes for good, they think you're overstepping the boundary because actually in their mind you haven't graduated or advanced to be their equal around the decision making.
That's so true.
Doing business the way we used to do it limits us. And I'm a firm believer, and we have this conversation often, is diversity, definitely. And if you look at mothers, right, single moms, us growing up, I mean, those women were raised their kids, they were the breadwinners. At the end of the day, they made a success of their career. They made a success of raising their children.
And sorry,
go for it.
I just wanted to say on that, and Prof, exactly what you've been stating, and being where I'm at right now, the generation after you, looking up to you as a role model. For me, encouragement is looking at you and saying, well, if you can do it, so can I. And that's exactly you know, where I'm at right now, where I'm getting to the age where I've got the generation behind me looking at me now and are saying they also want to be successful. And I admire you for exactly being a role model for us, because it's not an easy generation prior to us that had to put those footprints out there for us and follow. And I know the challenges that generation has put forward, you know, and I find myself as well being the first generation businesswoman in our families as well that's got no experience in business. Our parents were the workforce. They had to go to work. They basically work for government. There wasn't those opportunities for them to start their own businesses or even be educated in that way. So we find ourselves being the generation that needs to show our next generation it can be done. You can become a professional. You can run your own business. And I must say, Prof, with the fact that you've basically got an organization to support us women to be able to say, you know what, come, let's hold your hand and we show you how. That's exactly what needs to happen for our next generation to become successful women and make those differences and not just be that person sitting on the 1% or sitting on the board. In actual fact, take the advantage of the fact that, okay, you want to put me there as a woman, but I'm going to show you what I'm capable of and change that dynamic on saying that automatically you've given me my little finger to put in, I'm going to put my hand. So heads up to you, Prof, for being that generation to show us, the next generation, how to do this. Thank you.
There's a... yes, Professor De Vries.
I just want to say, you know, we must, in all of our conversation, I think Rhoda agrees with me, we don't expect to be given chances that we don't deserve.
Precisely.
So we don't want to be tokens. No. That's the one thing. Secondly, we also know that it takes, it's tough times, and so we need to be able to make tough decisions. And thirdly, that we as women know that we need to be excellent in what we do.
Oh, yeah.
But having said that, I want to tell you, so I think when given any opportunity is to say, excellence will be our mark. So my plea to women is to say, whatever we do, let's not negate the things that are key critical success factors for good business that are around. That hard work. I say, if you work hard from 8 to 5 or 6 o'clock, if you get in the traffic, to be there till 6 or 7, and it's your own business, give yourself at least the credit of putting the same amount of hours.
Yeah.
You know, if you have the opportunity to be in a leadership position, do us proud. And I think often women, when they get that positions, most of them will do us proud.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when you're not, you see, when you appoint people tokens, or if you just want to disempower women, you see, we talk about empowerment that creates people to unlock their full potential, and disempowerment when we actually say to people, I've seen organizations appoint people and they deem to fail. They want them to fail. They don't give them any of the support structure. They don't give them any of those things. And the point we want to make is, when given any of those opportunities, my plea to women is bring all of your strengths and do well, so that you open the door for a whole number of others around.
And this is it. It is exactly that. You got to be the example. But and there's so many things I want to touch on now. Firstly, of course, we in this pandemic, things are difficult for everybody. Everybody's got less buying power. It is just a difficult situation, and I want you to, Prof and Rhoda, I want the two of you to sort of what is there that we start saying to females who want to start a business, because now all of a sudden it's always been difficult, even for a woman to start a business, going an entrepreneurship route, having all the bags. I mean, we're talking skills, the mindset, the determination, the tenacity. That's there already done.
That's there, yeah.
But now it is already a difficult process, because it's always convincing the other people. This is why I wanted to get to systemic, but I will get to it in a moment. But now it's a COVID time. Things are just difficult. What do you say to young Rhoda?
What I say to young Rhoda is persevere, persevere, persevere. Keep on going, do not stop. And that's exactly what happened in our business as well. When, you know, the lockdown came, there wasn't a lockdown for us. We needed to look at things differently, and that's exactly what we did. We looked at, okay, what can we do? Let's do live stream, funeral live streams. You just needed to basically not put yourself in it, right? Not look at the negativity out there, because there's a lot of negativity with COVID happening. And even now still, you need to be positive. It's like Prof said, you need to be positive. You need to, you know, look at things differently. And that's exactly how I look at COVID. There is a lot happening, a lot of businesses are closing around you, but I try not to look at that and stay positive, stay focused on, I've got a goal, I need to do this, you know, and
Let me ask you this, to you, Rhoda, and to Professor De Vries. And we've got a comment that that we're going to take as well from one of our viewers, and we're going to take that in a moment. But let me ask you this quickly. Up until 94, mainly, and let's assume, and I'm going on an assumption here, considering my age, let's assume that most businesses were male-dominated. Most of the workforce was male-dominated at the time. Now, male-female, that's 50-50. So the struggle predominantly had the essence of equal opportunity based on color of skin, right? Did we sort of drop the ball in terms of equality for men and women there? Was our focus more 90, like lopsided to the one side? And then when 94 came, emancipation was delivered, we still fought that, which, you know, it doesn't matter what the argument is. I mean, wrong is wrong, but and having that all fixed was the right thing to do. But did we somehow leave the equal opportunity for women purely? Did we forget that? And now, and this is why I say sometimes I find it systemic, because it is difficult for me to imagine that people are just, the only logical explanation for me as a person is that you're doing that on purpose. Like, why are you not giving the lady the opportunity? She's got all the skills, you've got better knowledge, all of that, but you just systemic. We're not doing it a different way. And the reason I'm arguing like that is because I have a daughter. And our daughter, when I spoke to her, or Cindy speaks to her, it's a very different thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I cannot understand, other than just being on purpose, aspris. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do we is it not because it's too systemic and we don't even know it's there?
I mean, I can take that. I mean, I've got a son and I've got a daughter. I told my daughter, you go for it, you push, you don't rely on a man. I didn't have to say that to my son.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of this is systemic? Professor, do you think so as well?
Maybe I want to say, and I'm in a very upside down position because I have 3 sons. So I want to tell you, in my quest for equality, in my quest to ensure that we have equal opportunities, I needed to be very clear that my quest is not biased towards my sons or biased towards the daughters. Okay. So it's about saying equal opportunity means if the 2 of us must compete, then both of us bring value to the table, and then the best person must then get the opportunity. Now, that's just, I want to just put on the table, I have 3 sons. So I wouldn't like the world to discriminate against my sons for the opportunities that they and the value they will bring to organizations. But I also want to turn it around and say how sad it would be that if they were my daughters, and we would sit, because, you know, much of what we learn, and this is coming back to the systemic issues, if you sit around the table and the way we have conversations is the conversations that says to, you can do it. My father was a very liberal man, very street ahead of his time, because I'm one of 10 children, 5 girls and 5 boys, and he said to me, if the boys can do BCom degree, you can also do it. Because remember, at that stage, it's about you just should do BA or should become a teacher. And I was a teacher. The access route I used was to finance me was via the teaching route. But he said, if the boys can do BCom, why can't you do it? So he was streets of ahead of time. And that happened in the home. And he affirmed my potential as being equal to that of my brothers, that whatever they can do, I can do also.
So
There we go.
And I think if we can say that in our families, in our networks to people and saying, actually, giftedness, courage, strength of ability, and uniqueness to the specific roles we are called to do, to be a CA, to be a lawyer, to be a medical doctor, to all of those things, they are not shaped. IT professional is not linked to a specific gender.
Yeah.
It's linked to your aptitude, your attitude, and your competencies. So my quest is to say, what have we done? We have thought that getting the vote is good enough, but we know even today we have the vote, but some of the things are so drastically wrong. And if we must wait for 5 years, it's a scary day. And in the same way as in the political realm, we know in the realm of women empowerment and women opportunities and equal opportunities, it would be a sad day if it will take the slow thing. If somebody say to you, don't be so impatient. You know, often women hear this, don't be so impatient. You know, other women would have never had this opportunity. You are already, and then I say, but I know I work harder than everybody else. I know I can bring contribution around it. And I'm just saying, you know, let's not forget the role we play in our small community, our family units, where we encourage the daughters and our sons, and encourage the young women and the young men. Because, you know, I am of the belief that a society that doesn't optimally use all of its potential, both women and men, is a society that will have a shortage of skills and a shortage of unlocking the opportunities that are there.
Amen.
And South Africa is an amazing country. There's so many opportunities. But if we only think the opportunities must go in a specific direction, whether it's a race or whether it is in a specific gender, then we miss it. Because we need all of us. Together, we can build this country.
Stronger together, definitely. We've got Hubert on the line. He's wants to add a comment. So, yeah, we're inviting him to speak.
Hubert, are you there? Good morning.
Hubert, are you there?
Okay, Hubert's not...
We're not getting Hubert. But
okay.
Maybe Hubert will pop on again, but there is a lot, because we talk women in business, Professor de Vries, and we don't want to keep any much more of your time, and we've touched on such a vast array of topics this morning with us. But going forward, you see this because we know the work that you do and everything. I mean, you're a businesswoman yourself. Going forward, what is there that we can do practically, and what do you think would be the ideal situation? Well, I know what the ideal situation would be, but what do you think we can do practically? Is there more that we can do towards empowering women in business? I'm sure there's a lot more that we can do. It's obviously changing just that. And I want to say not so intelligent male perspective at times, you know, because that's really what it is. And Rhoda as well. What is there immediately that you would like to see happen? Professor, let's start with you.
I think, I would like to almost to say first and foremost is anybody that want to be in business need to be able to understand the environment they operate in. If you don't know it, you will miss it. It's a key success factor to understand the environment where there are amazing opportunities, but you have to understand the environment. You have to think, continuously learn, so that you can think out of the box. If you have stuck, don't think your first degree or your first qualification is the end and all. If you ask me, it's every day. The other day I was reading a book, and sometimes it's just affirming the stuff you already know. To know, I saw young people doing, what is this mobile what is it, scooters, mobile motorbikes.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, great research, great work to be done. And obviously thinking about the opportunity. This is the future for where we're going, given the increase in prices of fuel and all of the things. So my first thing is, let's just think about being the best that you are, being informed, read, scan the information so that you can find a niche that will make you excellent. You see, when you're good, if you're the only person, a young lady was saying to me yesterday, she said, you know, I got this invite, and dominantly a lot of men, but I was one of the 20 select that was invited because of skill, ability, the work she's done in this pandemic over this time. And sometimes she feels frustrated because she said, I've just been making horizontal moves around it because I'm not valued. And I know, I mean, she said to me, I know it's to do with my race and my gender. And she said, but when I sat at this meeting of 20 people, I knew it is an opportunity. And often what I'm saying is seize the day. You see, my advice to people is be ready, be prepared. Don't wait for the opportunity. Understand the things, because opportunities come your way, and sometimes we have to knock down the doors. Sometimes the opportunity knock on your door. Sometimes you have to knock the doors open so that you say, we can do it. You have to give us an opportunity so that we can demonstrate to you we can do it. And then to say, I don't even want to go to the fact that, you know, our government speak wonderful languages about support for entrepreneurs and support for women, but it's just beautiful words. They're dealing with a pandemic. There's all of the other things, so we have to do it for ourselves. I'm saying be the best you can be. Make sure that you have the cutting edge skill. And thirdly, do it for yourself. You know, sometimes we think that everything must be big to be brilliant. You know, small can be beautiful, because often out of your small, I love the word called collaborative competitiveness. You know, we use the word in business called competitive advantage, but I'm saying, let's say be collaborative competitive. So I need other people to do what I do well, and together we will be excellent. So, you know, understand the value chain and say, I don't do everything, but the part I do exceptionally well. And I look for other women or men that will also do that part exceptionally well. And together we can make an offering and say we're the solution for the opportunities that present itself. So let's be excellent, collaborate, but never forget competitiveness is the name of the game. If you're not good, you can't expect people to look at you twice. Be excellent. Because if you're excellent and if you collaborate, you know, the doors must and will open. And sometimes it's your own belief system. You know, how do we make sure every day when you've got all the no's, to get up every day and say, I'm good enough. I'm excellent. Actually, at a stage, I had a mantra for myself that said, it's the organization's failure, and they are less being excellent if they don't employ me. Do you know what it says? I'm saying, actually, you know what? Because I know what I can do, I know my worth, I know what is my contribution. If they don't value it, somebody else will value it. And actually, it's their loss. That talks about confidence. And, you know, we need to come to a place where our confidence, and when all those no's and everything says, I know what I do is excellent. I will continue to pursue it. And in that pursuit, I will collaborate. I will remain competitive. I will understand the environment that I operate in. And I will choose faith rather than fear. Because, you know, fear factor can demoralize us. But the faith factor, if you say, I know I can do it, I will stretch myself and we can do it and we'll deliver. And you know, I don't have time, but I can tell you about opportunities where some industries I knew nothing about, but I could read, I could learn, and I could become the very best. So all I'm saying is, let that be your mantra. time, invest in yourself to become excellent, and build the network of people together that believe in you.
Professor Linda, I'm having a slight chuckle when you said collaborative competitiveness. Let me just say this. I've done my best work when that's at play. And I'm not joking to you, because I actually go out looking for that, because you constantly want to jump up, you constantly want to improve yourself. As soon as you said that, it's like I can identify, because I put myself in that situation. It's like when that is there, when it's collaborative, when it's like-minded, and there's some sort of I look for that now. I naturally gravitate to those situations. If something, I walk the other way. I promise you. So when you said that, I was having a good chuckle. But we know this is important, and this is a conversation we could have for another 5 hours.
Definitely.
But let's leave what we have there. And we do have a comment that I just quickly want to go to. And this comes from Anthony Bota. Anthony, thank you very much for this. Who says, Rhoda has been a great mentor to my wife and our business. So empower women, and that is really wonderful, because Rhoda, that is a wonderful compliment. Thanks, because Rhoda has been doing business for a long time. So that is really, she really appreciates that. And Anthony goes on to says that he agrees with the professor. We need to give females a chance. They bring a different view, offer better ideas, come from a diverse view, and people sometimes doesn't just like change. But yes, we gotta move, and I think we agree with you there as well. So thank you very much, Anthony, for your comments. To wrap up the show, let's start off with you, Rhoda. Final thoughts around this. It is important, although we're in a pandemic, just keep doing what we're doing. Women in business, that is the way forward.
That is the way forward. And I think just to touch on one of the topics as well, having to raise a son as well. We as women, raising our sons as well, need to teach them as well how to treat our women and respect the fact that, you know, they're equal, like Prophet said regarding her sons, and having come from a family where she had 5 and 5 boys and girls, and also being told that, you know, the playing fields are even. We as mothers and fathers also have to bring that across to our kids. So, and especially our boys, where we need to educate them on saying, you know what, the way forward is also educate our boys as well, because the men at the end of the day need to stand up for our women as well, and we need to instill that into our kids. So to all our boys out there and all our guys out there, you know, thank you for those that has stood up for us women and liberated and helped us reach our goals at the end of the day, because many times us as professional women, as business women, need our backbone, we need our support as well, which is our husbands, which is our kids as well. So, you know, thank you for all our kids and husbands and family members that stood there for us. And the way forward, ladies, at the end of the day, nothing is impossible. Exactly what Prophet said is exactly how I feel, and I can only state, and I would want to replay all of that again and play it all over and over again to bring it exactly the same message. Educate yourself, inform yourself. And that's exactly how I've worked through my life as well, as having to say nothing was impossible. I had come from the workplace on where where I worked before. I was challenged with so much where there was a PA, but I found that my manager kept on coming to me, and it wasn't that I was educated in that, but I went and did research. I went and found out information, and I didn't. So that's exactly what Prophet said as well. Inform yourself. And you can do this, ladies. You can. At the end of the day, nothing is impossible. You're the new generation. You're the new South Africa. You need to lay our foundations for our future ladies as well.
Wow. Thank you, Rhoda. Any final thoughts from you, Professor De Vries?
I want to say to the women out there, in a world where you can be anything, and really you can be anything. Be kind, be strong, and be very courageous. That's what we need.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Prof.
Well said.
Thank you, Professor De Vries. So, women in business, that's what we spoke about today. So, Alfonso, to wrap this up, there's no reason why we can't support female businesses if people should be of that opinion that, no, the man does the job better. I mean, come now, that's just, and dare I even say, that's just, if you thinking that way, that's idiotic.
Yeah.
Let me just be honest. That's my personal. It might be a strong view, but this is where I'm coming from. There is no reason why we can't. And let's be honest, that's why we've thrown you under the bus here as a guest here today, because I mean you this is an exceptional business. It's a woman-led business, and and the weirdest thing is, up until we had that conversation amongst ourselves, I never even thought of that. And until we started doing a little bit, we started prodding. We're like, but why is it so difficult? There's more females graduating, bigger amount of population. Why are people? Why? And this is it. So from my side, is like, if you are really that kind of think it's man, well, then you got to start. Wake up. And our constitution is liberal, it's progressive. The only thing holding it back is conservative and uninformed views.
I think you don't need the legal fraternity telling you how to behave as a human being. And that's my bugbear. Why do we need legislation? Diversity has worked, it's proven over and over. And you know what? Inclusiveness. Like Prof said, inclusiveness. I live by Martin Luther King's, I'm not quoting, but what he said was to overcome prejudice by excellence. And that's just to affirm what Prof was saying. Excellence. I mean, no one wants handouts. I want to get to a place where I know I've performed and I've did my best. And if I've done my best and I'm the best person for the job, well, then I should be the one in the job. And I feel a lot of women and a lot of marginalized communities have experienced that and till today. People are still being marginalized for race, sex, gender, religion, whatever. Come on, South Africa, let's get away from the isms and let's move forward.
That is very well put, and I like that. I like what you say. I agree everything what you say. I like even that get away with the isms. That's a cool one. That is it from us for today. Do you two have anything else to add?
I've done.
I know today's show was a little bit longer, but it is a really important topic, and we want to thank you for joining us, of course, and we look forward to your contributions and your suggestions. You know how to get in touch with us. Alfonso, firstly, let me start with you. Thank you so much for sitting here. Thank you, because I didn't want to be alone. And sorry for throwing you under the bus, but it was his plan. And I am so happy you're back next week. That is it from us. Once again, thank you very much to Professor Linda de Vries for joining us this morning on Mahala Monday. It was a real privilege and a treat having Professor de Vries with us this morning. Thank you very much to our usual suspect, Rhoda, that today was a bit in the hot seat, but she'll be back. You know where to find her on Mahala Monday. And also Alfonso for standing in. Thanks, man. Never let a man down. Never let a man down. That is it from us today at Mahala Monday. Remember to like and share this video. Until next time, from me, Tugel, and everybody else, take care, everybody.
Cheerio, everybody.
See you.